Based on the comprehensive overview of the European Data Protection Board, EDPB, Guidelines 07/2020 on the concepts of controller and processor in the GDPR, this expert article aims to provide a deep dive into the significant aspects outlined in the guidelines. The guidelines play a crucial role in clarifying the obligations and responsibilities of controllers, joint controllers, and processors under the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, ensuring that entities involved in the processing of personal data within the EU and EEA understand their compliance obligations. This video synthesizes the key points, aiming to offer an insightful analysis for legal practitioners, data protection officers, and organizations striving for GDPR compliance. Introduction to GDPR's controller and processor concepts. The GDPR establishes distinct roles for entities involved in data processing: controllers, processors, and joint controllers. Understanding these roles is paramount for ensuring accountability and compliance with the GDPR. The controller determines the purposes and means of processing personal data, while the processor acts on behalf of the controller. Joint controllers collectively decide on the purposes and means of processing. The guidelines provide clarity on these roles, emphasizing a factual rather than a formal approach to their determination. Identifying controllers and processors. Controller determination. A controller is any entity, person, organization, or body that alone or jointly with others determines the why and the how of data processing. This determination can stem from legal authority or factual influence over the processing activity. Importantly, the designation as a controller does not require direct access to the data processed. Processor criteria. A processor processes personal data on behalf of the controller, without determining the purposes and means of the processing. Processors must follow the controller's instructions and ensure they have sufficient guarantees to meet GDPR requirements. Joint controllership and its implications. Joint controllership arises when two or more entities jointly determine the purposes and means of processing. This requires a close examination of their collaboration and the extent of their influence over the processing. The GDPR mandates that joint controllers arrange their responsibilities in a transparent manner, particularly regarding data subject rights and information obligations. Relationship between controller and processor. The GDPR mandates a formal contract or other legal acts governing the relationship between controllers and processors. This contract must detail processing instructions, confidentiality commitments, security measures, and the rights and obligations of both parties. The guidelines emphasize the necessity of concrete and specific terms in these agreements to ensure clarity and accountability. Consequences of role attribution. Attributing roles affects compliance obligations, particularly in areas such as data protection impact assessments, data breach notifications, and data subject rights. Understanding these roles helps entities allocate responsibilities effectively and ensures that data subjects can exercise their rights efficiently. Practical guidance and examples. The guidelines are rich with examples and practical guidance, aiming to assist entities in navigating the complexities of the GDPR. These examples illustrate common scenarios involving controllers, processors, and joint controllers, providing insight into the EDPB's interpretations of the regulation. Conclusion. The EDPB's Guidelines 07/2020 are a critical resource for entities processing personal data within the scope of the GDPR. By clarifying the concepts of controller, processor, and joint controllership, the guidelines facilitate compliance and promote a harmonized approach to data protection across the EU and EEA. Entities are encouraged to review their processing activities in light of these guidelines to ensure they meet their GDPR obligations.